As promised, joining me now is Democratic Senator Adam Schiff of California. Senator, it's good to see you. You just in the last couple of hours, literally, I mean, this story just came out. You asked the Inspector General at the Defense Department to investigate DOD's role in facilitating this outrageous gift. You're asking them a lot of interesting questions, information you want. Walk us through what you're requesting from them and what you hope that they will turn up through this process.
Hey folks, welcome back to True Voice, the home for truth, accountability, and unapologetic patriotism. I'm Andrew, and if you care about democracy and cutting through the noise, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now. Let's keep this movement growing. We're reacting to a bombshell segment featuring Senator Adam Schiff on Jen Psaki's show. And let me tell you, if you're not already furious about what's happening, you will be by the end of this video. Let's watch.
Well, this acquisition of this $400 million plane really stinks to high heaven. Everything is wrong about this deal. And apparently, even if you accept the administration's own account of this, it was offered directly to the Trump Foundation. They checked with their own counsel, and that would be illegal. It would violate the Emoluments Clause, be unconstitutional. So basically, they decided to launder it through the Defense Department to see if they could use the Defense Department, the Air Force, as an intermediary and launder this deal to see if they could somehow make something unlawful, unconstitutional, now somehow copacetic. But it does nothing of the sort. It simply embroils the Defense Department in this scheme. And one of the things that, I'm demanding to know from the DOD, and we'll find out these answers, whether we get it from the DOD or other sources, that is, what is it going to cost to retrofit this thing? How long is it going to take? And if this plane isn't going to be ready for 2 or 3 years until Trump is basically on the way out the door, basically what this is all about is getting a $400 million aircraft for Donald Trump when he leaves the presidency. That's really what this is about. And I was struck in listening to your opening discussion about the fact that not only is this the first major trip of Donald Trump during his presidency, it was the first major trip of Donald Trump during the first Trump administration. And why go to the Gulf in both cases? Why make that your first presidential major visit? It's a little bit like that famous bank robber said when he was asked, why do you rob banks? Because that's where the money is. Donald Trump is going to the Gulf, not because it's the most important region for the United States of America, but because that's where the money is, and that's where the money is for Trump and his family. It's where the Gulf deals are. It's where the stablecoin deals are. It's where, the enrichment of the family is. And meanwhile, the rest of the country is left in the lurch. We're paying more for our airfare. We're paying more for our baggage fees. But Donald Trump doesn't like having to ride around in Air Force One because the plane is getting too old for him. He wants this palace in the sky.
He seems emboldened, I think it's safe to say. Not exactly an outrageous thing to say. I mean, he did some of this in his first term, certainly plenty of it. But I've been thinking about this Supreme Court ruling on immunity and how much it may have emboldened him. And I know you think about this a lot. You and I have talked about this a lot and what it could prompt. Do you think that that ruling has prompted him to be even more brazen in the second term?
Absolutely. Let's not forget, this is a convicted criminal who's now the president of the United States. You give a convicted criminal immunity and you make him the most powerful person in the world, and he's going to abuse that power in innumerable ways. If we were concerned in the first Trump administration that Gulf nations were trying to endear themselves to Donald Trump by buying whole suites at his hotels, whole floors at his hotels, that is chicken feed compared to the open graft that is going on now. And we can thank John Roberts for that. The most significant decision of his tenure as Chief Justice is this terrible immunity decision. And to hear the Chief Justice the other day bemoan the state of the rule of law in America, well, thank you for that opinion that told Donald Trump that he can get away with just about anything. And, of course, the people around him know they'll get a pardon from him on the way out the door. So they also feel immune. But in terms of your question earlier about what can be done about this, among other things, among the litigation and other efforts to try to stop and expose this graft, We need to make the Republicans wear this corruption like an albatross around their neck. It will drag them down along with Donald Trump, and making them pay a political cost for going along with this open graft, this $400 million latest, corrupt gift from a foreign power trying to curry favor with the president, making them own it, is a powerful way to hold them accountable.
It is quite a glaring grift here. There have been some, now comments are one thing, actions are another, let's be honest. But Senator Ted Cruz, who I suspect you don't agree with that often, but he said this plane poses significant espionage and surveillance problems, which I'm betting you agree with. I mean, part of this is having to retrofit, remove potentially foreign entities from a plane. You're the former chair of the House Intel Committee. Talk us through, help people understand what that looks like, and I assume you agree with him. What does that mean?
Well, Qatar is very sophisticated in terms of electronic surveillance. They've had the money to invest in it. They can buy very sophisticated eavesdropping equipment, and they have. Could they put that in the aircraft? Of course. And even if they hadn't, we couldn't accept that as an understanding. We would have to strip that airplane apart to determine whether they've embedded any bugs in that aircraft. Now, maybe for an administration that uses signal to conduct military operations, they don't care, but they should care. We should care. So you're going to have to strip that aircraft down to do that kind of sweep. You're going to have to build in a lot of upgrades to make it the kind of flying fortress that you need for a president. And then, of course, we haven't even talked about what it's going to cost to cancel the contracts that exist for the Boeings that are made in America that are to be used for this purpose if they indeed get canceled. So this is going to be a costly venture for the taxpayer. It's just going to be an amazing gesture, as Donald Trump says, or offer for him personally. And that's what this is all about.
Do you think, I am not Pollyannish, you definitely are not, there have been a bit of an outcry from more Republicans in the Senate and otherwise than I've seen about a lot of things. Have you heard privately from them about a willingness to, say, support this effort to get the DOD IG to look into this, or other efforts to stop Trump from attempting to get this $400 million plane?
I have not, and to be frank, I really don't expect to. It's one thing to express an occasional public misgiving. It's another to put your name on something that is a direct affront to Donald Trump. You see how personally stung he is when journalists raise this apparent corrupt act of his. His reaction is proportionate to the size of the gift. The bigger the gift, the more irate you get from Donald Trump when you question him about it. So, no, I don't expect Republicans to voluntarily support Democratic efforts to investigate or oversee this. But we are going to try to force votes on this. We'll have to be creative about how we can do this, but we will force Republicans to vote on this. And I have to think those that are in vulnerable races are not going to want to defend this and are not going to want to see those votes. So I have to imagine some of those Republicans are hoping this whole problem goes away, that maybe UAE reconsiders or somehow the deal falls apart because they don't want to go down on that ship, so to speak.
It's quite a campaign ad I can visualize, with a $400 million Qatari plane just flying next to a person running for office. Senator Adam Schiff, thank you so much. Really appreciate you joining us. We'll be following this effort to get the IG to investigate very closely.
Senator Adam Schiff just laid out one of the most blatant examples of corruption we've seen since Trump first stepped into politics. And that's saying something. A $400 million plane, gifted from a foreign power, allegedly laundered through the Department of Defense, so it doesn't look like what it actually is, a payoff. A payoff to a former president who's already been convicted and now wants to ride into a second term on a literal palace in the sky. As a proud progressive, I believe in a strong America, but that doesn't mean bending over for billionaires or turning our military into a delivery service for corrupt politicians. If you're someone who waves the flag on July 4th, then you should be waving it today, because this is a full-blown attack on our values and institutions. Let's be clear, this isn't about one plane. It's about what it represents: foreign influence, unchecked power, and the total decay of ethical leadership. And what's worse, most Republicans in Congress are either dead silent or nervously whispering their concerns off camera, because they know if they speak out, Trump will come after them. That's not leadership. That's cowardice. And yes, credit where it's due. Even Ted Cruz flagged this as a national security risk. When Ted Cruz is making sense, you know it's bad. This aircraft comes from Qatar, a nation with the money and tech to potentially bug the whole damn thing. You'd have to get the plane to make sure it's safe. And we, the taxpayers, are footing the bill for all of that. Meanwhile, contracts with Boeing, American jobs, mind you, are on the chopping block. All to give Trump a sky yacht. You know what this tells me? That Supreme Court ruling giving Trump immunity didn't just embolden him. It put a target on the back of American democracy. When you tell a convicted criminal he's above the law and then let him take foreign gifts without oversight, you're not protecting the Constitution. You're destroying it. We got to stop treating this stuff like normal politics. It's not. This is grift on a global scale. And it's time to make Republicans own every inch of this corruption. If they want to ride that $400 million plane with Trump, let them, but make sure it's their political careers that crash and burn, not our democracy. If this made your blood boil even half as much as it did mine, do the patriotic thing. Subscribe, share this video, and leave a comment below. Should the Inspector General investigate this mess? Should Republicans be forced to vote on this? I want to hear your thoughts. I'm Andrew. This is True Voice, and we're just getting started. Stay loud, stay proud, and stay true.